The siren began at 22:17, long after the evening news had signed off. It was the old hand-cranked air raid wail that only the senior citizens of Stonebridge remembered from childhood drills. Most people in 2025 mistook it for a tornado warning, until the radio stations were seized by a single, looping announcement delivered in a jagged, metallic voice.
Emergency bulletin. This is not a test. They've started taking people again. Lock houses. Kill lights. Stay away from the windows.
Most listeners thought it was an elaborate hack or some viral marketing gimmick. But the ones who had grown up on the south side, where the cotton mills rotted and the river sharpened itself on black rocks, recognized the phrase, and the blood froze in their veins. Because Stonebridge knew what again meant. Stonebridge, Georgia, sits in a crook of the Ocmulgee River, an hour from the bright sprawl of Atlanta and a century removed from its optimism. Its mills died first, then its music venues, until only the barbershop and the bar kept their neon lights buzzing at night. Folks with talent left. Folks without it clung to superstition like a raft. Most of the town's darker lore was considered Appalachian nonsense by the new mayor and his Chamber of Commerce brochures. But certain tales refused to stay buried. Stories of the rivermen that prowled the floodplain when the water turned black in spring. Stories of the March week when someone or something stole 39 children off their front porches in 1952, returning none. The official archives lists them as runaway cases or record-keeping errors. The county genealogist, Mara Andel, knew better. She'd spent 10 years documenting every missing Stonebridge soul and cross-referencing them with flood records, lunar phases, and crop yields. A grim pattern hunkered beneath the data. Every 14 years, always in March, always 7 nights. The disappearances clustered along the river and radiated outward in a spiral, as if someone were harvesting by grid. 14 years since 2011, and March had arrived. Mara sat in the dark of her study, illuminated only by a rain-stripped window and the glow of her laptop. On the screen was the predictive model she'd built, an ominous lattice of red pins through Stonebridge's streets. According to the algorithm, the next zone would be the neighbourhood called Widow's Knot at 10 p.m. The first modern abduction, Eli Bud Walters, happened precisely on schedule the previous night, 10:17 p.m. Bud had been on his porch smoking. His wife found the cigarette crushed in a puddle, the porch swing still swaying. No footprints, no forced entry, just gone. Mara watched the clock roll over to 2200 and held her breath. In the distance, that old siren shrieked awake. Moments later, her phone lit up with texts. One from Nora P. Mara, power's out on Cotton Row. One from Deputy Green. Dispatch lost radio. You seen this? And a third from Unknown. They're here. Don't let them see your face. The last number wasn't stored in her contacts. Mara froze, her thumbs trembling. She started to type, "Who is this?" but her phone died, her screen washing to black. Wind slammed the house. All the lights in her subdivision winked out, leaving Stonebridge a negative imprint against the lightning. The siren cut mid-wail, replaced by that same voice on every emergency channel.
Stay inside. Do not look at them.
Deputy Isaiah Green stood in the flicker of police headlights on Cotton Row, scanning the row houses with night vision goggles. The streetlights were out, but the moon silvered the flooded gutters. The storm had fled, leaving a hush like someone holding their breath. He keyed his shoulder mic. "Dispatch, I'm on scene. Same pattern. Front doors unlocked, no struggle inside. Residents missing." Static popped in his earpiece. Dispatch had been in and out since the siren. He repeated the report anyway, for the record. The last house belonged to Miss Eleanor Grant, 89, a retired schoolteacher. Isaiah's boot nudged the porch step. Wet. He knew the smell. River water, not rain. A fresh ribbon of oak mulgy mud led straight to the threshold. Inside, chairs were overturned. A TV flickered blue with an HDMI-seeking screen. On it, as if burned in, an afterimage quivered. Pale silhouettes knee-deep in water, their heads cocked like vultures. Isaiah blinked, and the image vanished. He called out, "Miss Grant, Sheriff's Office." Only the refrigerator's drone answered. By morning, 6 more homes were vacant. The sheriff's report would officially log 7 missing persons. The second night's harvest. A journal found in Miss Grant's dresser revealed frantic writing dated hours before her disappearance. March 14th, 9 p.m. I heard them outside. Sloshing footsteps, even though the street is dry. My daddy once told me, if the river folks come back, hide your eyes. They can't take you if you don't look. I thought he was drunk, but I feel them now, like water under the floorboards. A voice on the radio said, "Stay inside, don't look at them." I'll listen. If I die, let someone know. They come in 3s, tall as door frames, faces smooth as catfish bellies. No eyes at all until you flash a light. Then the eyes open. Lord, keep me unseen. The ink trailed off violently. Friday afternoon, the Gazette's newsroom buzzed like a kicked anthill. 14 missing in 3 nights. The sheriff barricaded Cotton Row. The mayor begged for state assistance. Rumour fed on rumour. Some claimed human traffickers. Others muttered the cartel, cultists, aliens. No ransom notes ever came. Mara marched in with stacks of annotated maps. "It isn't random," she told editor Tally. "They're moving clockwise. Tonight they'll strike Old Mill Quarter." "They?" Tally flipped through the paperwork, brow furrowing. "Creatures from the river. We have historic sketches, here." She produced a brittle newspaper from 1899, featuring a woodcut of 3 towering shapes, hauling fishermen into the oak mulgy. The headline read, "Hag of the Floods." Tally snorted. "You want the front page with cartoon ghosts?" Before Mara could reply, the newsroom TVs crackled to the emergency feed. The same metallic voice reading the now familiar message, but with an addition.
Do not speak to the water.
News anchors cut to commercial, flustered. "Run the damn story," Tally whispered, eyes wide. The defunct cotton mill squatted beside the river like a busted rib cage. Its windows were punched out, its floorboards warped by decades of humidity. Mara parked at the chain-link gate, her breath misty. She'd left voicemails for Deputy Green, but got no answer. Someone had to document what happened at night. She snapped photos of river gauges. The river sat 2 feet above normal, yet the rainfall was minimal. It was rising from beneath. Inside the mill, moonlight splashed across rusted looms. Mara walked to the main floor, dictating into a recorder. Suddenly, voices drifted from the basement. Wet syllables, like words burbling through a snorkel. She descended the iron stairs. A shallow pool covered the concrete floor, fed by a crack where river water seeped in. 3 figures stood ankle deep in the black, backs to her, each nearly 8 feet tall. They had skin the colour of boiled shrimp, stretched thin. They weren't solid. Their outlines shimmered, as if water refused to hold shape. Mara's recorder slipped from numb fingers and splashed. The sound stopped them. Their heads turned, featureless ovals, then rippled open to reveal concentric rings of eyes, like lamprey mouths trying to imitate a face. In that instant, a horrific impression struck her. The things were wearing the idea of human skin, like a borrowed coat. But the river's current pulsated inside them. One reached towards her, its arms sluiced longer, water rearranging bones that weren't there. Mara fled up the stairs, her feet punching water, but the landing was already flooded. A wall of river surged through broken brick. She was neck deep before she realized the water had shape. Hands, torsos, shrieking mouths forming and dissolving. Just as a liquid fist closed on her collar, the mill lights blazed. A bullhorn bellowed, "Move, move, move!" Deputy Green and 4 National Guard soldiers stormed in, spotlight beams slicing the gloom. The creatures recoiled. Where light hit them, their skin flaked to vapor. Mara felt herself yanked from the water, hauled across a catwalk with her vision swimming. The guards opened fire, not with bullets, but with blinding strobes rigged to portable generators. The monstrosities writhed, melting into cascades that hissed across the floorboards, before slithering back through the foundation cracks. At the sheriff's office, Deputy Green slid a styrofoam cup to Mara. His face looked older by a decade since Wednesday. "Tell me everything you know," he said. She did. The 14-year cycle, the predictive map, the journal from Miss Grant. Green listened, his eyes flicking to the 2 guard officers outside the glass. "Atlanta sent them this morning," he muttered. "Call came from higher than the governor." Mara asked, "What do they think these things are?" Green's jaw worked. "They won't say, but their equipment, industrial UV floodlights, ionic projectors, makes me think they've fought him before." He lowered his voice. "They told me the creatures are drawn to sound. That's why the power grid was killed. Too much electromagnetic chatter lets them map the town like sonar." "Sound? Like voices on emergency channels?" Mara whispered. Green nodded. "And they mimic the alerts to lure folks to radios." The PA crackled. One guard officer poked his head in. "Briefing, Deputy." Green stood. "Stay here, Miss Andel." But as soon as he was gone, her phone lit up with a text from the same unknown number. Mill wasn't the nest. Rivermouth. Tonight. The Oakmulgee widens south of Stonebridge, pooling in a weedy delta before slicing into the floodplain. The moon was a sliver. The clouds raced like panicked horses. Mara and Deputy Green crept along the levee, with 2 National Guard techs lugging cases of strobe cannons. Not official protocol. Green had gone rogue, convinced that command moved too slow. The unknown texter guided them by intermittent pings. Left at Driftwood Snag, 200 yards. Soon, they smelled it. Brine and rot, as if the Atlantic had sent a tendril inland. Reeds parted to reveal a natural amphitheatre, banks sloping to a whirlpool-lit pool. In its centre, 13 of the river beings knee-deep in swirling water, their arms raised. Between them, suspended like marionettes, floated the missing townsfolk. They were clearly alive, with their eyes glazed. With each unison chant, the creatures siphoned luminescent threads of breath from their captives into the water, which glowed brighter. Mara bit her fist to keep from screaming. The techs assembled the strobes, but one slipped, making the generator clank. Instantly, heads snapped their way. A chorus of gurgling fell across the water. The townsfolk puppets lifted their arms too, pointing straight at them. A bass drone shook the levee. The whirlpool expanded towards shore, like 1,000 hands crawling. Deputy Green barked an order. The strobes ignited, pure white burning across the reeds. Where the beams met water, steam roared. The creatures convulsed, their arms dissolving, their chorus shattering into screeches. The human captives dropped into the shallows, coughing. But the glow in the whirlpool only intensified, gaining speed, as if some deeper mouth had opened. From its core arose a shape. Colossal. Water and mud forming an effigy of Stonebridge's bell tower. Except this one had a face. Its window sockets brimming with black water. The guard techs faltered. One screamed, stumbling into the shallows. The effigy's face split, disgorging tendrils that speared him, drawing him into the vortex. Mara grabbed the second tech's strobe and jerked it towards the tower thing. The beam pierced its torso. The effigy roared, a hurricane sound, and the tendrils recoiled, dropping the limp tech. Green fired a flare gun into the vortex. The magnesium flare hissed underwater, erupting in bright white fire. Steam geysered. The tower thing's outline staggered, fissures of light cracking through it. "Crank the generator to max," Mara shouted over the roar. She and Green wrestled dials. The ultraviolet intensity surged, bathing the amphitheatre in artificial dawn. The river boiled. The effigy shattered into avalanches of scalding water. The 13 lesser creatures collapsed, dissolving like sugar in tea. The whirlpool slowed, then reversed, sucking itself inward until the delta was still. Silence fell, except for gasps of the rescued townsfolk scattered in the reeds. Another siren whooped, the legitimate one, as guard reinforcements thundered down the levee. Mara collapsed to her knees, staring at the calm water, reflecting stars again. 28 Stonebridge residents were found alive but catatonic, their skin etched with faint concentric scars. Survivors of previous cycles? None. The official state report labelled it unprecedented fluvial hallucinosis caused by toxic algae bloom. Families of the missing were given settlements. The guard convoy left as quietly as it came. Sheriff Alvarez retired the next month. Deputy Green filled the post. He still keeps an ultraviolet searchlight in his trunk. Mara's article, The Harvest of the Oak Mulgee, won a regional press award, though editors forced her to replace every mention of the Rivermen with unknown assailants. Her map now hangs in the Gazette lobby, but few visitors notice the pattern. Every household in Stonebridge owns a weatherband radio now, turned low every night. If that horrific voice ever returns, they'll know. People leave their porch lights off after dark, and to protect against it happening again as it transforms back into urban legend, kids are taught a rhyme at school. When the water walks at night, lock the door and dim the light. If the river calls your name, pray the dawn arrives the same. Macabre Horror here. I hope you enjoyed this horror story from a very talented author. Thanks so much for listening and supporting the channel. I'd appreciate if you could leave a comment below, as I love to hear from you all, and I'd appreciate if you can like and share, as that really helps as well. If you want more scary stories, check out the video or the playlist on screen.